Thank you very much for inviting me. I made some notes here. Let me open my. Let's see. Well, thank you all, first of all, for having the courage to enter into this journey and for inviting us from Fishwood to come and accompany you. I was impressed by the credentials and the history and the expertise that this group has. It's really very powerful. And some of you are art practitioners in your own right, art teachers and active artists, and you, the group, the town, Abby, the vision, it started kind of from the top, right? With this beautiful facility and the $107,000 grant, and which is a blessing, but it's also a challenge, because now you need to keep it up, right? And grow to that level where you can maintain this beautiful facility and so on. But it's also facility. I mean, the city of Fishwood doesn't have an art center like this. And the only place that I can think that compares to your cultural center, your art center, is the Chicago Cultural Center, right? And so it's very inspirational. Now, about the training. Those of you who did the training are probably asking yourselves, what is it that you learned about art in that training? And my answer to that would say, the training was about art, but it was more about art stewardship, with the emphasis being stewardship. And how that stewardship and the arts connect to building community together. And that is what you need to find. How can you build your community using the arts? That is the challenge. And not only your local community, but the regional community of which we are all part. And how can we work together? You probably didn't realize this, but by taking this training and by graduating tonight, you are joining a network of 300 and something people. And hopefully in the future you will get to meet all these stewards, to being stewards together with you. And hopefully you learn their stories. Starting from humbler beginners than yours, but they're there, and they're trying to transform their community, just as you. And the question is, where do we start, right? And I'm sure that question is in all of you tonight, and it will be in the future. Where do we start, and how do we move forward? And I wanted to share some examples with you so you can have some ideas about what others are doing and how they are doing it, and hopefully you'll see some good ideas of what to do here. There are stewards out there, of course there are stewards in Fishwood, and they're the ones painting the murals and working with the city to bring public art into the main downtown arteries and whatnot. There is Hannah and the Thornton concert bringing classical music to venues, and there are other musicians that are building festivals and so on. There are art stewards for sure, but there are other stewards that are there. And I want to talk to you tonight about a Filipino woman in Fitchburg by the name of Marites Macun. Some of you might know her. She ran a child care program out of her home for over 20 years. And then the pandemic came, and she had to close the facility. And during that period of thinking, what do I do? She joined a training with the Stewards. And one of the things that she found in her heart was, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and childcare is an essential service. If parents don't get childcare, they will not be able to go out to work or school, and the children were not even leaving the house to go to school, so they needed childcare. And so she came to me and said, can we develop a training? And I said, what would the training be about? And she said, maybe we can teach people how to get their license with the state of Massachusetts to run a childcare program. And I said, that sounds like a good idea. You know, we have 8 sessions, I said. We have this formal 8 sessions. What will you teach them in those 8 sessions? Why don't you think about that and come up with a proposal, a curriculum of sorts? And she left, and 2-3 weeks later she came, and she had her little curriculum. She said, these are the topics that this is how I would present this so that they would be able to actually secure their license with the state. And I said, okay, would you teach all of this, or would you invite other people? She said, no, I would invite other people. Oh, who would you invite? And so she came up with a list of presenters, and it included a person from the community college for a program called the CDA, and so on and so on. She put it together. We announced it, and what Marites did is she touched a nerve. She touched a nerve not only in Fitchburg, she touched a nerve in the whole state. Right? Because we were in the middle of a pandemic, and we offered this training, and we had people from Lynn, from Chelsea, Dorchester, Holyoke. All of them came and joined them because we were doing it online. It was very easy for them to connect, from the living room. But to make a long story short, she has trained more than 100 people. We have implemented about 8 cohorts of this little training. And then we had a national organization from New York called Parent Plus, who came to us and said that they provide home visitation for childcare providers. They said, but we don't know how the childcare providers get their license in Massachusetts. And because we're national, we don't have that granular knowledge of Massachusetts. Can you train us? And they sent one person to take the training, which is finishing tomorrow. And then Marites came with this idea. She said, some of the childcare providers are having problems opening their programs in the homes because the landlords don't like the idea where they are renting. She said, so I would like to create like an incubator center somewhere where childcare providers could start their operation and then move into whenever they are able, then they move out of the incubator center and open their program, and somebody else will come. Anyway, she came up with this idea, and she said, I'm going to raise $1 million to do this. And she kept talking about that. Well, last week, she was told that she received what is the name of this grant? Out of the Health Foundation in Worcester, the Health Foundation of Central Massachusetts. They gave her $250,000. $250,000. And the Greater Worcester Foundation gave her another $18,000. So she raised 268, and I tell you, she's on her way. And she's planning to use this money as seed money to go to larger foundations and continue building this incubator idea that she has in her mind. And this is a lady who wasn't even aware that she knew how to write grants. You know, when she started writing these little grants asking for a $2,000 out of the Fishbowl Cultural Council, I saw that and I told her, you know, you have a gift to write grants. And she kind of believed it. She believed in herself that she had that gift. And she has really, really blossomed in that. Now she's the development director of the Arc of Opportunity in Fitchburg. And she's writing these grants successfully and so on and so on. And there is a group, in Fitchburg there is a group of about 12 or 15 women who have secured their license with the state and they are already offering childcare services. Meaning, if each woman is serving 6 children out of their homes, and there is like 15 of them, that's almost like 100 children that are receiving childcare service. And we are going to have another training, the 9th cohort in the fall, and we already have a waiting list of about 10 women that want to take the training. Because this little training is a path to employment for them. And there are some women that, you know, have children with special disabilities and they are having a hard time leaving their children with somebody to go work somewhere, but they're finding a way to take care of their children while taking care of somebody else's children. And so on. So life kind of makes sense and they are moving in that direction. But everything started with a little conversation about having a dream. And it just blossomed, right? Let me share another example with you. I mean, one of the examples you have here in the house, because that same conversation I had with Noel. When I met Noel, he came to my office and he told me that he wanted to create a classical musical ensemble. And we talked about it, and I said, you might want to think about a project that you incorporate with the state as a non-for-profit. And I gave him the little articles of organization, the little 4-page form, and I said, why don't you review it? And you can, you know, answer the questions there, you know, what would be the purpose and so on, and then we can sit down and talk about it. This was like in 2020. And from there to now Noel is directed this non-for-profit, which is a tax exempt. In getting the tax exemption with the IRS is a whole journey in its own right. But he did it, and he's running the Thompson Consort. Now the question for Noel and for the ensemble is, how do we secure the grants? Where do we find the grants so that we can continue playing for free to the community, but getting paid as all musicians should get paid, and so on. So, you know, it's a whole process that takes place. Another steward, maybe you know her, she lives in Ashburnham, Carolyn Sellers. She came to me and said, I want to develop a steward program for the environment, because she's an environmentalist. And the same issue, the same question, here is the format, 8 sessions, what would you teach? And she came and gave me a curriculum, and we did it, and she ended up implementing 2 cohorts of a group. Now she has a network of about 30 environmental stewards. And one of those stewards in Fishbowl by the name of Ralph, who is in the board of the Natural River Watershed Association, he decided to write a grant to the state of Massachusetts, municipality vulnerability project, And the state just gave the National River Watershed Association $400,000. And this is a grant, a planning grant, to resolve climate action issues in our communities, the flooding and so on and so on. In Ashburnham, in Fishwood, in Leominster, in Groton, and in Pepper. It's 5 communities. And it's going to be kind of like a pilot project that they are considering then expanding to the whole watershed, which has like 72 communities. But it's going to be here in Ashburnham, and it's going to include, teaching young children in the school about the environment and so on. And I mean, and everything starts with an idea, right? With something in your heart. And the resources are there. It's just a matter of finding them, right? So what can you do? You're here tonight. What would be the next step for you? And I tell you, the next step for you is to find in your heart what is the dream that you want to follow. That's the next step. And once you find the dream, make sure that that dream actually, makes you passionate about it, and it gives you fulfillment, and it gives meaning to your life, because that is what is going to keep the fire burning. If you develop a plan that at the end you're not going to be interested in, it's not going to go anywhere. It needs to be something where you're passionate, where you see yourself reflected, and that gives meaning to your life and to your community. That is the next step. And once you develop a plan, that is going to be so powerful. It might include schools, it might include churches, it might include, the town itself. But it needs to come out of your heart. And I don't know how you want to do it. If you want to have sessions where you talk about it, or that is up to all of you. But that is the next step. And if we can help you in anything, we'll be happy to. I get paid. I'm getting paid right now for being here with you. This is my job. So if you need help, if you need guidance, if you need ideas, I'll be happy to go back again and talk with all of you and figure it out. Just like I did with Noel. Noel was in my church, and Hannah was in my church on Saturday in a concert. And it was such a beautiful performance. It's like a dream come true, right? So that's the invitation. Look into yourself, look into your heart, and build your community by building meaning into your own lives. And when that happens, people feel it. People feel it. You share what's in your heart and the fire that's burning, and people get excited about it because it's there and because they know you. So that's the invitation. Thank you, and good luck to you all.